Hey guys, and welcome to Lex's Lounge. So today I felt like talking about the Jobpocalypse of the 2020s. So I'm not huge into making far-off predictions like 5 years or 10 years down the road, but sometimes I admit I dabble in those because they can be a lot of fun. So one prediction that's out there, and it does have a swell of support, for example, Jack Ma, founder of Alibaba.com, he's a believer in this theory, and it's known as the Jobpocalypse. And the gist of it goes like this. There's no rule that says, no economic rule that says that there must be jobs for all the people that happen to be in society at any given moment. There could easily be a situation where the jobs just don't exist. And the people who believe in that Jobpocalypse scenario believe that a mix of globalization and heavy automation is going to lead to a situation where people just do not need to hire workers, and so they won't. So the first jobs that'll get phased out is driving industry jobs, which is a lot of people, and then manufacturing is going to go right after that. Then a lot of fast food and salespeople are going to be muscled out of a job, meaning a lot more than have already been muscled out by technology thus far. And you're going to reach a situation where there's a lot of folks who are having trouble finding full-time work. Wages will continue to stagnate. Unemployment could hit 10% and easily float somewhere above it. And that creates a real problem in society, because if you don't happen to have assets, like things that grow in value, and your income is limited to the hours of work you're able to obtain, you're going to have a real tough time obtaining social mobility. And at the same time, in the Western world, we're going to have aging populations, and those aging populations are going to have big pension requirements, big healthcare obligations, and we might not be able to take care of those people in that kind of limited employment scenario. Now, eventually things balance out, because if there's no work, then there's no money. People tend to have less kids. The aging population will die off, and sooner or later the demographics will balance. But there could be a really prolonged period where if your job is even remotely repetitive and doesn't require a human touch, you're probably going to get muscled out of a job by, again, automation and globalization. One good example is my wife. She works as a medical laboratory technologist. That means if you get your blood taken in a hospital, it goes to a person like her. She looks at the blood and she finds out what's wrong with you, and then that report goes back to the doctor. Well, she's worked in this field for a little while now, and she's really noticed that what's happening is the technology and the computer systems and the analyzers that these people deal with are all getting a lot more sophisticated, and you can essentially do more work and a bigger variety of work with less people who are less skilled. And so medical laboratory technologists are currently being filtered out and being replaced with laboratory assistants who do less complex tasks, and also technologist tasks are being delegated down to assistants. Every time there's an analyzer upgrade, it wipes out more jobs, or rather, there's no need to increase the size of the lab, even though the population's increasing and the number of tests the lab does keeps growing. So my wife can conceivably already see a point where she, a technologist, and a couple of lab assistants are running a lab in 20 years from now that right now it takes a dozen people at minimum to run. So just one small in-the-box example of how automation is changing the economy. So let's say you're like in college or in high school and you're trying to prepare for this type of economy, your goal is to analyze every job at a time and see whether you can still do it 30 years down the line. Good examples are jobs that require a personal touch, like taking care of elderly people, management jobs, engineering jobs. All of these automated devices are going to need somebody to maintain them. So basic electrical tech jobs that you can get, I think, 2-year diplomas for to start in those fields. Those would be good growing industries where you'll actually be able to find employment. But yeah, it's going to be challenging. So I'll throw a couple links in the description for you guys for links that kind of talk about this Jobpocalypse more. But in the meantime, if you enjoyed the show, be sure to subscribe and hit that like button. See you next time.